Hi! Today I want to talk about different personality types and how it affects your writing. Now, there are four basic personality types, okay? And what happens is there are two of these that will be dominant in your personality. Okay, so let's start. Now, there's the sanguine, there's the choleric, there's the melancholy, and there's the phlegmatic. Sanguines are people, they just love people. They're social. These are the kind of people who will friend anybody. And I guess if you say hi to them, they are just, they're best friends with you forever. They're talkative and they're funny. They're affectionate. They're also optimistic. And what they like to write, these people tend to do best with fiction, especially with short stories and articles. That's according to the person giving the speech at the writers' conference that I went to. Now, I guess on the flip side is, since they are so social, they can take rejection a little more personally than other people, so I guess a rejection letter would hurt them more than the other personality types that I'm going to talk about. And let's see, cholerics. Now, the choleric type, they're the leaders. They're just naturally that way. The way they present themselves is very positive, and they're focused, they're productive. These people work a lot. And of course, they can work so much they forget that they have a life. I know because I happen to fall into this category. Now, these people also are the kind of people that if an agent or editor says that they want something at a certain time, chances are this personality type will have it done ahead of schedule. They're fast-paced, and they work hard. Now, the not so great side, they can be stubborn and they can be unaffectionate, and that the reason they seem that way is because even if something affects them, they keep it inside, and they show you something else on the outside. And I can tell you that these people, especially if if they have a melancholy and a choleric tendency together, then the reason is because they're just private people anyway. So anyway, that leads me into melancholies. Melancholies are perfectionists. They are organized, they're detailed, they love research, they want to make sure they get everything right, so they will go back and they'll check their facts over and over again. Of course, unlike the sanguines, the melancholies do not friend everybody, and they certainly do not friend everybody right away. So to pretty much get on their friends list, you have to actually be a friend or have something that they can respect about you, or some reason that they would even friend you to begin with. And, I have this in my personality type too, and this is why you'll notice my friends list. Sometimes I cut people off because they're just not communicating back. And, that's just how that personality thinks. It takes a while to be their friend. Now, of course, some people may see this as being cold and critical and fussy. And, they do tend to like things a certain way, and they're very private people. Now, phlegmatics. The person at the conference was saying, the phlegmatic is the type that everybody loves. And I know some phlegmatics, and these people, they are really great. They are followers. They're very sweet. They're peaceful. They do not argue. And they're patient. They're great weaknesses. They're great listeners. Sorry. But I was thinking a weakness you can kind of see from this is they don't stand up for themselves, even when they need to. And the thing, they're pretty level-headed. So the good thing is that, their emotions don't really get hurt that easily. Like with the sanguine's personality, their emotions get hurt easily. But the phlegmatic, they pretty much are leveled out. They pretty much don't get hurt right away. But I think sometimes they need to learn to stand up for themselves. And it's not wrong to stand up for yourself. I am not thinking of anyone in particular, so please don't think I'm sending a message to somebody. I'm not. Okay. Now, as a writer, what happens is they have trouble sometimes keeping the motivation going. Because they lack to do the research on some things they need to do. And this isn't for all phlegmatics. If you have a secondary type that is great in the research area, obviously this is not going to apply to you. But I guess for phlegmatics, it can be a little troublesome meeting their deadlines. Now, as far as like writing styles, and the person at the conference basically gave some suggestions for each personality type. So, just take this if you need it, and if you've already resolved the issue, don't worry about it. But she was saying for sanguines, what they need to do is they need to work on finishing the story, because apparently they have trouble finishing things. And also this is a personality type that is likely to put flowers or colored ink or just neat, pretty little things on their queries. And, we were told, don't do that. If you're going to submit to an agent, just black and white piece of paper and just follow the guidelines. Nothing fancy. Now, cholerics, apparently these people, they tend to get anal, you can say, about, oh, did the agent, did they forget me? Do they remember that I'm here? So they may have that tendency to want to send a reminder email, but unless the agent specifically specifies after a certain amount of time sending them an email to remind them, just leave the agent be, because agents are busy. So you got to just work on patience, and sometimes that also, if you get into a period of writer's block, and you don't have that creativity going, it's hard for the choleric to just wait it out. But, well, what I do, and I happen to fall into choleric, just work on something else for the time being, and then come back to that original idea when the time is right. For melancholies, these people, they're very organized, they have everything ready. Now, what might happen, though, is because they are such perfectionists, they think they have the story right, and it's complete as it is, and it doesn't need any editing or any changing. And, since I fall into this type too, I understand, but since I self-publish, this is one of the perks of self-publishing for me, is I don't have to have someone come and tell me what to change. But if you are looking for an agent, and if the agent tells you you need to change something, and if you're a melancholy and it's like, oh, I hate the idea of changing this, pretty much if you want to get published, I think you're going to have to play by their rules. So I guess with melancholies, learn to be a little more flexible and be willing to change some things. Now for phlegmatics, I think the problem, these people are so nice, so it's hard for them to be assertive. And it's hard for them, I think, to go up and, even at a conference, to go say, hey, talk to agents and editors and get to know them. And, I think for them, if the agent or editor at a conference tells you that they're interested in your work, or I guess even in an email, if you submit it and they're like, I want to see your work, don't let that fear of failure hold you back. Go ahead and proceed through it. Because, when they say it, when they want something, they mean it. And that's what I learned at the conference. They only said like 50% of the people never send them anything when they request it. And they said they really wanted to see it. So, just go for it. The worst that can happen is they say no. And that one of the recommendations for phlegmatics, since they have trouble, meeting deadlines and getting things ready, and I think part of that's because of the fear, is to make a to-do list and to reward yourself when you get to where you want to be. So those are the and before I forget, there are natural blends. 4 natural blends. So think of which you fall into here. There's a sanguine choleric, there's the sanguine phlegmatic, there's the phlegmatic melancholy, and there's the melancholy choleric. Typically, people will fall into one of those 4 blends. So you may be a sanguine choleric, you may be a sanguine phlegmatic, or phlegmatic melancholy, or melancholy choleric. So, and I just had a lot of fun learning about these different personality types, and hopefully you did too. And thank you, and yes, that's my kids screaming in the background. Have fun.